The sky over Earth darkened as the first signs of the alien fleet appeared. At first, people thought it was a strange weather pattern, a thick cloud covering the sun, but soon it became clear it was something far stranger. Massive ships, larger than any human-made structure, floated in orbit, their shadows stretching across the land. Cities paused as people looked up in disbelief. Cars stopped in the streets, planes halted their flights, and millions of eyes turned toward the heavens. Even the bravest soldiers felt a shiver run down their spines. No one had expected this. On the bridge of an orbital command station, Captain James tightened his grip on the railing. He was not a man easily frightened. He had trained for crises, studied alien reports, and prepared for emergencies of all kinds. Yet seeing the ships above, so silent and so immense, made his chest tighten. Beside him, Lieutenant Emily stood with calm focus. Her face was steady, her eyes sharp, scanning the horizon of space where the first glimmers of alien lights reflected against the darkness. She did not flinch. She never did. James glanced at her, a hint of worry in his voice. "They're huge," he said quietly. "How do we even begin to fight that?" Emily turned to him, her voice firm. "We do what humans have always done. We survive. We fight if we must. And we do not bow." Below them, the humans on Earth were seeing the first communication from the alien fleet. A massive screen on every major news station flickered with the image of Commander Valon, the leader of the Zyrak Collective. His face was unlike anything human had ever seen, elongated, angular, with sharp eyes that seemed to pierce through the screen. His voice echoed across continents in a strange, metallic resonance. "You are weak," he said. "Your planet is small. Your species is unworthy. We mock you now, but we may test your limits. Do not resist." The message caused a mixture of fear, anger, and disbelief among humans. Some panicked and fled, unsure what to do. But others felt a spark of something stronger, determination. People from all walks of life stared at the screen and thought the same thing. Earth will not bow. James and Emily watched the transmissions from the command station. They were not generals of a massive army, not superheroes, but humans, ordinary people put in extraordinary circumstances. And yet, that ordinary quality gave them a kind of strength the aliens could not understand. James knew that Valon was testing them, trying to see if fear would break them, if the sight of immense power would make them submit. But he also knew the truth. Humans did not give up so easily. In the streets of London, New York, Beijing, and Sydney, people began organizing. Soldiers and civilians worked together. Emergency shelters opened, evacuation plans were executed, and communication lines buzzed with messages of coordination. A sense of unity spread, stronger than fear. Families stayed together, strangers helped strangers, and communities became small fortresses of determination. High above the Earth, James and Emily prepared the orbital defenses. The satellites had weapons not enough to destroy the massive ships, but enough to slow them if needed. The air was tense. Every signal, every light from the alien fleet was carefully monitored. They knew the aliens were watching, learning, waiting for a moment to strike. Meanwhile, Commander Valon observed Earth through his ship's massive windows. He had expected chaos, panic, and quick surrender. What he saw instead surprised him. Human cities were not collapsing. People were not running aimlessly. They were organizing, protecting each other, and preparing for a fight. Even from afar, he could feel their defiance. On a quiet night in a small town in Kansas, a young boy named Thomas watched the sky. He had never seen anything like it, giant shapes moving among the stars. His parents tried to shield him, but curiosity and fear battled inside him. "Will they hurt us?" he asked. His mother knelt beside him. "They may try," she said gently. "But humans never give up. We always fight when we must. And we protect each other." Thomas felt a strange pride. He didn't fully understand what was happening, but he could see it. Humanity was standing together. And somehow that made him feel brave. Back in the command station, James and Emily discussed strategy. They did not know what the aliens wanted or how strong they really were, but they had to prepare. Plans were drawn, teams were briefed, and simulations ran through every possible scenario. They were ready to defend, to respond, to survive. And most importantly, they were ready to show the aliens that Earth would not submit. Late that night, the alien fleet began to move closer. Shadows of their ships stretched across oceans and mountains. Cities lit up with emergency lights, sirens wailed, and the hum of human activity filled the air. Yet amid the fear, there was a steady pulse of courage. People were not just waiting, they were acting. Volunteers helped each other, scientists worked with military engineers, and soldiers prepared to stand on the front lines. In the orbital command station, James looked at Emily. "This is bigger than anything we've faced," he said. Emily's eyes were steady. "Then we show them what humans are capable of. They may mock us, but they will not break us." Across Earth, in small towns and massive cities, millions of humans felt the same resolve. The night was long and tense, filled with uncertainty and fear. But there was also hope, courage, and unity. Humans had survived worse. They had faced impossible odds before, and they would face them again. Above all, the message was clear: Earth would not bow. Not tonight, not ever. And so, the first night of the arrival passed. Stars twinkled through the gaps between the alien ships, as if watching silently. Commander Valon retreated to his command room, curious and wary. He had come expecting weakness, but what he found was defiance. A small species on a small planet, yet filled with a spirit that no ship, no weapon, and no threat could easily break. The humans of Earth did not sleep that night. Some prayed, some worked, some held hands with loved ones. But all shared the same thought: they would not let their planet be mocked, nor would they surrender to fear. They were ready for the days to come, ready to defend their home. And in that quiet yet tense night, Earth made its first statement to the stars: humanity would never negotiate from fear. Humanity would never bow. The arrival had only begun, but already the aliens could see that they were dealing with something far more dangerous than they expected. A species that fought not just with weapons but with courage, unity, and an unbreakable will. The morning sky turned an eerie shade of green as the alien fleet moved into striking position. Across the world, people watched in fear and awe. The massive ships, hovering silently above, suddenly unleashed beams of bright energy that streaked down like lightning from the heavens. Cities trembled under the assault. Buildings shuddered, roads cracked, and smoke rose in thick columns from the streets. The air was filled with panic, but amid the fear, the human spirit began to show. On the outskirts of New York City, James tightened his grip on the controls of a fighter jet. He was not alone. Around him, a squadron of human pilots moved with precision, communicating in short bursts over the radio. They were trained for this, and even though the alien ships were far larger and more powerful than anything Earth had ever faced, the pilots trusted their skills, their training, and each other. "Form up," James barked. "Stay tight, keep moving, and watch each other's backs. Remember, they can fire, but we can dodge. We have speed. They don't expect it." Beside him, Lieutenant Emily guided a squad of drones from a nearby command center. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel, redirecting the small but agile machines toward the alien skimmers that swooped low, scouting for weaknesses. "We hit them fast and we hit them smart," she said. "They may have technology, but we have brains and determination. Never forget that." The alien skimmers were small and fast, designed to terrorize and scout. They fired energy bolts at the cities below, aiming to create panic and confusion. But humans were ready. Civilians evacuated quickly under guidance from emergency alerts, while soldiers used every resource available to slow the attacks. High-tech missiles launched from hidden bunkers, improvised traps in the streets, and even simple vehicles moved strategically to confuse the alien pilots. Every action, no matter how small, caused the aliens to hesitate. In London, a group of engineers rigged old communication satellites to act as remote interference devices. They scrambled the signals of the skimmers, making their targeting systems misfire. In Tokyo, civilians drove their vehicles in organized patterns to create obstacles, forcing the aliens to adjust mid-flight. Across the globe, ordinary humans did extraordinary things, turning fear into clever solutions. Above the chaos, James's squadron zipped through the air, weaving between skyscrapers and the alien energy beams. Each maneuver was calculated, precise, and dangerous. One misstep could mean death, yet the pilots trusted each other completely. They coordinated their attacks with Emily's drones, creating confusion among the Zyrak forces. The aliens were powerful, but they were not used to humans working with such ingenuity and unpredictability. In the alien command room, Commander Valon watched the unfolding scene with growing disbelief. His face, sharp and serious, betrayed a flicker of worry. "They should be running," he muttered to his advisors. "They should crumble under our weapons." One of his advisors, an older Zyrak named Merix, frowned. "Commander, their response is unexpected. They are organized, adaptive, and precise. I did not anticipate this level of coordination." Valon's eyes narrowed. "Then perhaps we underestimated them. We assumed weakness. That was our mistake." Meanwhile, on Earth, the human resistance continued to grow stronger with each passing minute. In Paris, firefighters and civilians worked together to evacuate citizens from areas under fire. In Moscow, scientists used experimental EMP devices to temporarily disable small alien drones. In Sydney, soldiers created decoy targets to distract the skimmers. The aliens' advanced technology was formidable, but human adaptability was proving a match for it. James led a daring maneuver, flying directly toward a group of alien skimmers that were targeting a hospital. He felt the heat of energy beams as they streaked past him, narrowly missing the jet. With a sharp turn, he dodged a second blast, then signaled his squadron to attack from both sides. The skimmers, confused and unable to anticipate human unpredictability, faltered and were destroyed one by one. Emily, watching from her control station, coordinated the drones to sweep through another sector of the city. "Keep them busy," she instructed. "We can't let them regroup. Every second counts." Civilians on the streets cheered as they saw the small victories. Fires were being contained, skimmers were falling, and for the first time, hope spread alongside the fear. Children hid in basements, but parents whispered encouragement, reminding them that humans had survived worse. In Washington, the president watched the news feeds with military advisors. "This is unlike anything we have faced," he said gravely. "But look at them, they are holding together and they are fighting back. This is humanity at its best." As the battle continued, the Zyrak fleet began to experience unexpected losses. Small ships fell to human drones, skimmers crashed due to clever traps, and even some larger ships were damaged by targeted attacks. Valon could not understand how a small planet, a species he considered primitive, was creating such chaos. "Commander," Merrick said nervously, "we may need to reconsider our approach. Their defenses are unconventional and effective." Valon clenched his hands. "No," he said. "We strike harder. We will show them true power." But even as he gave the orders, the humans adapted again. James's squadron used a combination of high-speed maneuvers and decoy drones to create illusions of multiple attacks. Emily's drones jammed communications, preventing coordination among the skimmers. Civilians executed pre-planned evacuations, minimizing casualties. Human ingenuity was turning the tide, despite the overwhelming firepower of the aliens. In small towns, soldiers and volunteers created barricades and diversion systems. In rural areas, farmers and residents hid critical infrastructure to prevent destruction. Everywhere, humans worked together, showing a unity that no alien could have anticipated. By evening, the first strike of the Zyrak fleet had largely failed to achieve their goals. Cities were damaged, yes, but human lives were largely protected. The aliens had expected fear and surrender. Instead, they found courage, cleverness, and adaptability. On the alien flagship, Valon paced back and forth, frustration etched across his face. "This cannot be," he muttered. "They are supposed to be weak, disorganized, easy prey. Yet they fight with skill and they survive. How is this possible?" Merrick's looked solemn. "Commander, perhaps Earth is stronger than we assumed. Perhaps humanity is different." Valon froze at the thought. Different. Not weak. Not easy to control. Not predictable. Meanwhile, on the streets of major cities, humans began to rebuild even as they defended. Teams of volunteers repaired roads, cleared debris, and aided the injured. People helped each other without waiting for orders. Children brought water and blankets to first responders. Everyone, from soldiers to civilians, contributed in any way they could. In the skies, James and his squadron returned from a successful mission, exhausted but triumphant. He radioed Emily. "They're down to small numbers. The rest are regrouping. We need to stay alert, they'll try again." Emily nodded, monitoring the drones. "They think this is the first strike, but humans don't stop. We adapt, we fight, and we survive. That's something they will never understand." In the towns far from the cities, ordinary people watched the alien ships and felt pride. Farmers, teachers, shopkeepers, and students, all had contributed in some way. Even if small, their actions had mattered. Humanity was alive, united, and resisting. The first strike of the aliens had failed. They had tested the humans and expected easy submission. Instead, they found ingenuity, courage, and unity. Even the advisors of Valon whispered doubts. Earth was not weak. Humans were not prey. And as the night fell across the world, people looked up at the sky. The alien ships still hovered, still dangerous, but humans were not afraid. They had shown their strength and they were ready for whatever came next. Commander Valon, for the first time, realized he could not take Earth lightly. He had mocked humanity once. Now he had to reconsider. These creatures were unpredictable, resourceful, and fearless. A planet full of humans was not something to conquer easily. James looked over the city lights from his fighter cockpit. He thought of his squadron, the civilians who had helped, and every human who had contributed. Humanity had survived the first strike, and they would survive the next. Emily, coordinating from the command center, whispered quietly to herself, "They mocked us, but they will learn. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not bow. We fight and we fight together." And so, the first strike ended, not with Earth's destruction but with human resilience. The aliens had shown their power, but humanity had shown something even greater: intelligence, courage, and unity. The battle was only beginning, but one thing was clear: the invaders would not underestimate humans again. The morning after the first strike, the world was still recovering. Cities had been damaged, fires were smoldering, and emergency services worked non-stop. Yet, amid the destruction there was hope. Humans had survived the first attack. They had shown courage, intelligence, and the ability to adapt. And now it was time to turn defense into action. In a hidden laboratory beneath London, Dr. Lily studied alien technology recovered from the debris of the skimmers that had crashed during the first strike. Her hands moved quickly over glowing panels, scanning energy signatures and recording data. She had been preparing for this moment for years, studying potential threats from other worlds. The Zyrak ships were powerful, but Lily had found something in the patterns of their energy shields. Something small but critical. "It's a weakness," she whispered to herself. "A small flaw in the shield that, if exploited, could bring down one of their ships." She called James and Emily immediately. "You need to see this," she said. "It's their energy shield. It has a pattern, a rhythm. If we time it right, we can break through." James frowned, his brow furrowed. "How many ships are we talking about?" "Too many to fight head-on," Lily said, shaking her head. "We can't destroy the fleet with conventional weapons. But if we hit the shields at the right moment, we can disable the key ships, the ones controlling the others. That could turn the tide." Emily nodded, already thinking through the strategy. "We'll need precision," she said. "And speed. We'll use drones, small, fast, and unpredictable. They can move where humans can't and attack with minimal risk. Timing will be everything." James clenched his fists. "Then we plan carefully. We do it right or it fails. And if it fails, people die." The three of them worked for hours, running simulations, coordinating drone routes, and timing their maneuvers. Every second mattered. They knew the aliens were watching, learning, and adapting. Every mistake could be fatal. By evening, the drones were ready. Small, fast, and armed with experimental energy disruptors, they hummed quietly in the control bays. James and his squadron prepared in fighter jets to provide cover, while Emily coordinated the drones from the command center. The humans were not just defending, they were striking back. As the Zyrak fleet moved closer to Earth again, Valon observed with increasing concern. His advisors had warned him that humans were unpredictable, but he still believed their technology would give them control. Yet even as he gave orders, he noticed something strange. The humans were not reacting as expected. They were not panicking, not fleeing, not making simple mistakes. Instead, they were moving with purpose, carefully, almost like predators themselves. In New York, James's squadron soared through the skies, dodging energy beams from the alien skimmers. Below, civilians had prepared makeshift shelters and evacuation routes. Every move James made, Emily and Lily's drones coordinated to distract, jam, and confuse the enemy. The humans were acting as one organism, each part aware of the others, reacting in perfect harmony. "Now!" Emily shouted into her headset. The drones surged forward, splitting into multiple groups, weaving around the alien skimmers. They moved with precision, avoiding fire, exploiting gaps in the shields, and attacking weak points. One by one, the skimmers faltered. Small explosions lit the sky as the experimental energy disruptors hit their targets. Valon's eyes narrowed. "Why are they so clever?" he muttered. "Why do they anticipate every move?" Merrick's, his advisor, frowned. "Commander, this is beyond expectation. They are not predictable. Every attack they make seems to anticipate ours. It is as if they are learning faster than our systems can adapt." Valon's jaw tightened. He had faced countless species across the galaxy, many more advanced than humans. Most had surrendered under his power or fought predictably and lost. But Earth was different. These humans were resilient, adaptable, and fearless. He realized that he could not rely on technology alone to control them. Meanwhile, the drones continued their coordinated assault. They darted between alien ships, exploiting shield weaknesses identified by Dr. Lily. Each hit caused a ripple effect, briefly disabling energy shields across several nearby ships. The Zyrak fleet, once confident and precise, began to falter. Energy beams misfired. Communications were disrupted. Confusion spread. James's squadron pressed the advantage. Flying close to the larger ships, they drew fire and diverted attention from the drones. Pilots risked everything, trusting their calculations, their training, and each other. Every successful maneuver allowed the drones to get closer, strike faster, and exploit the shield flaws more efficiently. On the alien flagship, Valon's face was pale. "Focus fire," he shouted. "Destroy the humans' control center." But the humans had already anticipated such a move. Emily redirected drones to create false signals and decoys. The flagship's weapons fired at empty coordinates, energy beams hitting nothing but open sky. Every misfire added to the chaos among the alien ranks. Dr. Lily's fingers flew across the control panel as she monitored shield disruptions. "We're in the rhythm," she said. "Keep going. Just a little longer." In London, citizens watched as the sky became a battlefield. Strange lights streaked across the heavens, explosions flared, and jets moved in daring patterns. Some could not understand exactly what was happening, but they could see humans fighting back. Fear mixed with awe. People began cheering from windows, rooftops, and streets. They knew their species was standing against something far larger and more powerful. The drones reached their final targets, key ships that controlled the fleet. With precise timing, they fired simultaneously. Energy shields flickered, failed, and collapsed. Explosions rippled across the hulls as systems shut down. The Zyrak fleet staggered, no longer in control. Ships collided, skimmers fell, and the once immense fleet became disorganized chaos. Valon's eyes widened in shock. He had underestimated humans. He had mocked them, expecting fear and submission. But instead, they had exploited his ship's weaknesses, adapted to every attack, and struck with precision. "Impossible," he whispered. "They should not be able to do this." Merrick's looked at him gravely. "Commander, we may have miscalculated. Humanity is unlike any species we have encountered. They are resilient, unpredictable, and fearless." James landed his jet on a cleared runway, exhausted but victorious. He looked around at his team, the drone's success confirmed on the monitors. "We did it," he said quietly. "We struck back. And we did it together." Emily smiled, tired but proud. "They thought humans were predictable," she said. "Every move they expected, we defied it. We are stronger than they thought." Dr. Lily closed her laptop, breathing heavily. It was small, but it mattered. That small flaw in their shields, it changed everything. "We've shown them that humans are not to be underestimated." Across Earth, people celebrated cautiously. Cities were damaged, yes, but their spirits were stronger than ever. Humanity had taken the fight to the aliens, proving that intelligence, creativity, and unity could overcome even overwhelming technology. In orbit, Valon regrouped his remaining ships, shaken and frustrated. He had expected submission, but what he found was resistance beyond anything he could predict. Humans were not simply defending, they were strategizing, adapting, and striking back. And that scared him more than any weapon could. James and Emily watched the skies from the command center, monitoring the remaining alien ships. "They'll come back," Emily said. "They always do." James nodded. "And we'll be ready. We've learned their patterns, their weaknesses, and their mistakes. Next time, we won't just defend. We'll take the fight further." The humans had proved their point. The aliens had mocked them once, assuming they were weak and predictable. Now the Zyrak knew otherwise. Humanity was clever, united, and utterly fearless. They had taken the first offensive step in a battle that would decide the fate of their planet. And in the quiet moments after the counterplan succeeded, the humans of Earth understood something important. Victory was possible when courage, intelligence, and teamwork were combined. They had faced impossible odds and shown that even a small species on a small planet could defy the greatest power in the sky. Valon realized it too. Earth was not to be taken lightly. Humans were not predictable. They were dangerous. And that knowledge changed everything. The sky over Earth was filled with tension. After the success of the first human counterattacks, the Zyrak fleet had retreated slightly, regrouping above the atmosphere. But humanity did not stop. They had learned the patterns, discovered weaknesses, and now it was time to take the fight to the aliens themselves. In the command center, Emily studied the holographic map of the fleet. The mothership floated at the center, massive and imposing. Every smaller ship coordinated around it, receiving orders, distributing attacks, and maintaining communication. But thanks to the drones and Dr. Lily's careful analysis, Emily had found a way to disrupt their control. "We hit the mothership first," Emily said, pointing at the display. "If we take it down, the fleet will lose coordination. Their communications are all linked to it. One strike at the right time and the rest will fall into confusion." James nodded. "We've got drones ready, jets ready, and volunteers on the ground supporting. We strike together. No mistakes. We've learned from the last attacks. We know their weaknesses," Dr. Lily added, "and the drones can jam communications across the fleet. Once we disable their signals, they won't be able to organize. Chaos will work in our favor." Preparations took hours. Pilots ran final checks on their jets. Engineers calibrated the drones' energy disruptors. Civilians in major cities continued to protect vital infrastructure, while emergency teams set up safe zones. Every person, every team, every machine played a part in the plan. As night fell, the humans launched their counteroffensive. Drones surged toward the mothership like swarms of fireflies, moving with speed and precision. Energy disruptors flashed against the alien hulls, jamming communication arrays, and causing flickers of panic across the fleet. James led a squadron of jets through the chaos, weaving past the smaller ships that tried to intercept them. Explosions streaked across the sky as drones struck and jets fired strategically. The Zyrak fleet, once disciplined and controlled, now floundered. Signals crossed and misfired. Commands were ignored. Valon's carefully structured order dissolved into confusion. On the mothership, alarms blared. Valon's sharp eyes scanned the chaos on the monitors. "What is happening?" he demanded. His advisors scrambled to find solutions, but the humans had already predicted this moment. Every move was calculated, precise, and deadly. The communications network was failing. Ships collided in the dark void. Skimmers spun out of control. James's jet flew close to the mothership, and he prepared for the boarding. His team, small but skilled, was ready. They knew the risks. If they failed, they would die. But failure was not an option. Earth could not be intimidated. The humans would fight with everything they had. Emily coordinated from orbit, guiding the drones to block reinforcements and cover the team. Her voice was calm but firm. "James, now. You have the window." James led the boarding team through a carefully calculated path, dodging defensive energy beams and maneuvering through gaps in the shields. The humans moved like shadows, quiet and precise, as they reached the main entrance of the mothership. Inside, the corridors were alien and unfamiliar, glowing with strange lights. Valon's presence was everywhere, the walls humming with the power of the ship. But the humans pressed forward, relying on training, instinct, and the knowledge that their planet depended on them. Meanwhile, Emily opened a communication channel. "Commander Valon," she said, her voice calm and firm. "We are not here to negotiate from fear. We are here to protect our home. If you retreat now, no further blood will be shed. But if you continue this attack, you will face the full strength of humanity." Valon's eyes narrowed. He had faced countless species, some clever, some strong, but none had spoken to him like this. None had dared to challenge him with such confidence and courage. His fleet was in disarray, his communications jammed, and now the humans were boarding his flagship. Inside the ship, James and his team reached Valon's chamber. The alien commander stood tall, his sharp features reflecting anger and disbelief. "How dare you enter my ship?" he demanded, his voice cold and resonant. James stepped forward. "I dare because this is our planet. You mocked us, attacked our cities, and thought we would surrender. We will not bow. We will not surrender. Earth belongs to humans and we will defend it." Valon's advisors whispered behind him, unsure how to respond. This small species, unarmed compared to their technology, had defeated their plans at every turn. Their drones had disabled communications, their pilots had destroyed key ships, and now humans stood boldly on his flagship. Emily monitored the scene from orbit. She knew James and his team were risking everything, but she also knew that timing was everything. "Hold them off," she instructed the drones. "Do not let Valon regain control. Keep the fleet in chaos." The humans' presence on the mothership disrupted Valon further. Security drones attempted to stop them, but the humans had anticipated this. Using a combination of skill, tactics, and improvisation, they neutralized every threat without hesitation. Every step forward was calculated, every move precise. Valon finally spoke, his voice almost a growl. "You are persistent, but foolish. Do you understand what you are facing?" James met his gaze steadily. "Yes. But we understand something you do not. Humans fight for more than power. We fight for our home, for our people, and for our planet. That is something you will never understand. Outside, the drones continued to disable communications, leaving the rest of the Zyrak fleet directionless. Ships spun in space, unable to coordinate, and several even collided. Pilots and crew who had relied on the mothership's control now acted in panic. The first signs of real fear appeared among the invaders. Emily's calm voice came over the comms again. Earth is united. You can retreat now or face the consequences. The choice is yours, Commander. Valon's sharp eyes scanned the chaos outside. He had underestimated humans at every turn. They were clever, organized, and fearless. Every assumption he had made about their weakness had been proven wrong. Now he realized the truth. Humans were dangerous because they would never give up, never surrender, and never allow their home to be taken. Inside the flagship, James confronted Valon. The alien commander's confidence had been shaken, his fleet in chaos, his communications cut off, and now humans were standing boldly against him. You are unlike any species I have faced, Valon admitted, his voice quieter. Persistent, clever, fearless. James's voice was steady. And we always will be. You cannot intimidate us. You cannot break us. Earth belongs to humans and we will defend it to the end. Outside, the Zyrak fleet continued to struggle. Without leadership, their ships were vulnerable. Humans capitalized on the chaos, disabling the remaining skimmers and small ships while civilians and emergency teams continued to protect key areas on Earth. The tide had turned. The humans were no longer simply defending, they were controlling the battlefield. Valon realized his mistake. His arrogance had led him to underestimate this species, to assume that power alone would force submission. But he had learned that humans were different. They were united, intelligent, adaptable, and fearless. That combination, more than any technology, made them a threat he could not ignore. James and his team restrained Valon without killing him. They wanted him alive but powerless. The humans had achieved what had seemed impossible. They had boarded the alien flagship and forced the commander into submission without surrendering to fear themselves. Emily looked down from orbit, watching the drones maintain control over the remaining fleet. This is the turning point, she said quietly. We've shown them that Earth will not bow. They will learn to respect humanity. On the bridge of the flagship, Valon looked around at the humans standing in his chamber. For the first time he felt fear, not for himself but for his fleet. They were no longer in control. He realized he had underestimated a species whose unity and courage could not be broken. James met Emily's eyes through the communication link. We did what we had to do, he said. We defended Earth and showed them we will not be intimidated. The rest is up to them. And in that moment, the humans of Earth felt a powerful truth. Courage, intelligence, and unity could defeat even the most overwhelming force. They had faced impossible odds and turned the battle in their favor. The turning point had come and Earth had emerged stronger than ever. The aliens would remember this day. Commander Valon would remember the species he had underestimated. And humans would know deep in their hearts that their courage and determination could protect their world, no matter the threat. The morning after the battle, Earth was quiet. Cities were damaged, smoke rose from burned buildings and streets were filled with debris. But the people of Earth were alive. Humans had survived. They had fought off the most powerful alien force they had ever faced and they had won. Across the planet the feeling was the same, relief mixed with pride. Earth had been tested, and it had passed. In London, Emily walked through the streets, helping distribute supplies to those affected. People waved at her as she passed, grateful for her leadership. She had coordinated the drones, the defense, and the counteroffensive, and now she was helping rebuild. Even as tired as she was, she could feel the energy of humanity alive all around her. James moved through the city as well, helping repair critical infrastructure. He watched people working together, soldiers, volunteers, and civilians, all united in one goal: recovery. Every small act, from clearing rubble to delivering food, showed the strength of the human spirit. Humans were clever, adaptable, and determined, and that had been their true weapon against the alien fleet. Dr. Lilly oversaw the repair of the drones and the experimental equipment that had been used in the strike. She had worked tirelessly, analyzing alien technology, calculating attack patterns, and coordinating with James and Emily. Now, even as the battle was over, she continued her work, ensuring that Earth would be ready if any threat returned. We've learned a lot, she said quietly, and we are stronger because of it. Marcus, a young pilot who had helped James during the boarding of the mothership, looked at the stars from a hill outside the city. The night sky seemed calmer now, yet it was filled with memories of the chaos that had passed. He thought of the alien fleet, their enormous ships, their advanced weapons, and how humans had faced them all without surrendering. "I never thought we could do it," he said softly. "But we did. We really did." From orbit, Emily and her team watched as the last alien ships fled. Their forces were scattered, and their arrogance had been shattered. The Zyrak fleet, once confident and strong, retreated to the edges of their territory, nursing their losses and avoiding direct confrontation with humans. Their technology was powerful, but the humans' courage, planning, and adaptability had proven far more dangerous than they expected. On Earth, communication networks buzzed with reports. News agencies, military channels, and civilian networks all shared the same story. Humanity had survived the Zyrak invasion and had turned the tide of battle through unity, intelligence, and courage. Across continents, people celebrated quietly and proudly. They had faced an enemy that mocked them, underestimated them, and tried to destroy them. And yet they had not only survived, they had triumphed. In New York, James met with his squadron. They had flown through the chaos, dodging energy beams, and protecting the drones that had disabled the fleet's communications. Each pilot had risked their life and shown incredible skill. "We did it," James said simply, looking at his team. "We showed them that humans are not to be underestimated." Emily smiled at the comms feed. "They'll think twice before attacking again. Or before mocking us," she said. Her calm voice carried the quiet strength that had led their people through the crisis. Even Valon, back in the Zyrak fleet, realized the truth. He had underestimated humans at every turn. They had been clever, fearless, and united. Every assumption he had made had been proven wrong. For the first time in his career, he feared a species he had intended to dominate. The humans had shown something that no technology could give them: courage, creativity, and unity. Across the galaxy, messages began to spread. Other species who had known of the Zyrak collective whispered among themselves about Earth. They had seen reports, intercepted transmissions, and watched the events unfold. Humans, once considered weak and unimportant, were now known as a species that could fight, adapt, and survive against overwhelming odds. Tales of their courage spread from star to star, planet to planet. Back on Earth, ordinary people continued their work. Farmers rebuilt damaged fields. Engineers restored power grids. Families cleaned homes and helped neighbors. It was a slow process, but every action mattered. Humans were not just survivors, they were clever, resourceful, and united. Every act of cooperation reinforced the strength that had defeated the Zyrak fleet. Emily, James, Lily, and Marcus gathered on a hill outside the city, looking at the stars. The night was quiet but full of meaning. "We've changed something," Emily said softly. "Not just here on Earth but everywhere. Other species will know who we are now." James nodded. "They'll remember. Earth is no longer weak. We are clever, united, and unstoppable." Lily added, "And we'll continue to learn, to adapt, and to prepare. We've faced this once and we can face it again if we must. Humans are stronger than we thought." Marcus, looking up at the stars, felt a sense of pride swell in his chest. "We've become a legend," he said quietly. "Not because of our weapons but because of who we are." Across the planet, the human spirit was visible everywhere. Cities lit up as power was restored. Children played in the streets once more. Volunteers continued to help, despite exhaustion. Everywhere, people understood that they had survived the impossible. They had stood together, defied a more powerful enemy, and emerged victorious. In the orbital command station, Emily monitored the skies. The last alien ships were leaving the system, damaged and disorganized. Humans had shown them that Earth was not to be conquered easily. Even if they returned, they would face a species that was prepared, united, and fearless. James joined her at the console. "Do you think they'll ever come back?" he asked. Emily shook her head slightly. "Maybe. But if they do, we'll be ready. Humans have learned what it means to fight together. That is something no alien fleet can easily defeat." On the streets, people continued to repair and rebuild. Soldiers and civilians worked side by side. Every small act, every repaired building, every rescued person, was proof of human resilience. The battle had been won, but the real victory was in what it had shown: that humans were clever, brave, and united. Even children understood the story, hearing it from their parents or seeing the celebrations around them. They learned that humans could survive impossible odds. They learned that courage and unity mattered more than technology or power alone. In space, the Zyrak fleet continued to retreat. Valon, once confident and arrogant, was now cautious. He had seen what humans were capable of. They had defied his expectations at every turn. They were unpredictable, intelligent, and fearless. And he knew that any future encounter with them would be different. The galaxy would no longer underestimate Earth. Back on the hill, Emily, James, Lily, and Marcus looked at the night sky together. Stars twinkled quietly, distant and indifferent to the struggles below. But to the humans watching, each star represented the vast universe that now knew the truth. A small species on a small planet could achieve greatness through unity, courage, and intelligence. "We've changed history," James said softly. Emily nodded. "And the galaxy will remember. Humans are not to be mocked. We are clever, united, and unstoppable." Lily smiled. "And we'll keep proving it if we have to. The spirit of Earth will never break." Marcus watched the stars in silence, feeling a sense of awe. He had seen humans fight for their home, for each other, and for their planet. They had faced an overwhelming enemy and won, not just with weapons but with courage, intelligence, and unity. The night grew quieter, but the feeling of accomplishment remained. Humans had changed the galaxy's view of them forever. They were no longer a species to dismiss or underestimate. They were clever, adaptable, and united. They were a force to be reckoned with. And as Emily, James, Lily, and Marcus watched, they knew the truth in their hearts. Earth had survived, humans had triumphed, and their story would echo across the stars for generations to come. The Zyrak would never forget. Other civilizations would take note. And humanity, the clever, united, unstoppable humans of Earth, had earned their place as a legend among the stars.